Welcome to the System Simplified podcast, where we feature top leaders who share stories on how to successfully systemize a business. Now, let's get started with the show.
Hello, Adi Klevit here with the System Simplified podcast, where we interview top entrepreneurs, founders, and thought leaders about systematizing a business. And this podcast is being brought to you by Business Success Consulting Group. At Business Success Consulting Group, we create custom processes and tailor-made business systems so businesses can thrive and grow. All right, and today's guest is Lauren Francis. Hi, Lauren.
Hello, nice to see you. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, you are so welcome. I am so excited to have Lauren on. Lauren, you're a great friend. You are a client. You are somebody I admire for everything that you do. You started 3 companies, and you totally are a true entrepreneur. And I'm so excited to hear your story, to share your story with our listeners, and hopefully inspire them to follow their dreams and to really follow what they're good at. And make it happen, because that's what you do. You make things happen.
Thank you for that. I love what I do, and I think a lot of it comes from wanting to help people and to make a difference for our employees and for the different people that we meet with and talk with, and just from the different companies. So.
For sure. And I know it shows in everything that you do. So our listeners are not in mystery. I mean, now you are the founder and the CEO of Mulberry Talent Partners, which is a recruiting company in Portland, Oregon. Mm-hmm. But your story starts earlier when you started your first business, which was actually a cleaning business.
Yeah.
So tell us your story.
Well, I started... I was working in the restaurant industry, and I wanted to make a change from there. And I wanted to start a business, but I did not want to raise money or take out a loan. And it was really important to me not to have investors or to go that route. So I decided, what can I do? What can I do where I can maybe have a minimal investment? And I'm one of 5 children, and I'm the oldest girl of there's my brother, and then I'm the oldest girl, and then I have 3 younger sisters. And when you're in that situation, you become really good at caretaking and helping the family. And one thing I know how to do really well is to clean. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna open up a house cleaning service. So I decided what I did was I started cleaning houses. I had a job where I came in every day from 7 to, I don't know, maybe I came in from 6 to 2. And I thought, okay, if I could clean a house every day after work, and even on the weekends, I will soon be able to quit my job. So what I did was I started cleaning apartments after I finished my work. And I was in my 20s, and I got to a point where I had enough income that I could stop working at the restaurant job. And so I ended up, but during that time, I hired one person to work with me, and her name was Heidi. I'll never forget her. She's lovely. And so she would meet me on the steps of my apartment in San Francisco, and off we'd go to clean houses every day. Once I had enough clients, I had Heidi help me. And so we would clean houses together. And she was lovely. She happened to have 9 brothers and sisters. So I hired 2 or 3 of them. So it was just really great. But I had, at the time, it was hilarious. I had a white convertible Volkswagen Bug. And I'd have my cleaning supplies and my vacuum cleaner in the back and the top down. It was crazy. And so anyway, going all over town, going up those crazy hills, right? And then what happened was I started more and more clients. And then a lot of my clients started asking for house cleaners that could be their employees. And I thought, interesting. So I looked up companies that maybe placed people. And I took with their business model. I just looked at what they did. And of course, there was no internet at the time and no websites. And I just looked at their materials and said, okay, I think I can do that. So I started interviewing people and placing people in these various homes. Well, one thing led to another, and then the needs are in a household. There's needs for nannies and housekeepers and so on. So what I started to do was to place people. And what I did is I kind of folded Made in America, which was the name of the company, into a nanny and a kind of a domestic placement agency. And so that's what ended up happening. Was it the origin of the company that ultimately what I founded was a company that I named Town and Country Nannies. And then we ended up rebranding it to Town and Country Resources, because our clients wanted us to place housekeepers, nannies, personal chefs, household managers, estate managers. I mean, the list goes on, personal EAs, that kind of thing. So the business really grew, and it really grew just from the requests that our clients had. And one of the things I've always learned is if a client wants something or has a request and something you've never done before, the answer is always yes.
Yeah, so that's definitely a lesson right there. So you listen to what your clients actually needed. Yeah. And that's where you basically pivoted yourself, which is a very popular word now, but you did it. You basically pivoted the business to what is needed and provided that need. That's amazing. So how long did it take you to build Town and Country to where it was when you actually sold it?
How long did it take? I was in the business for about, I want to say 14, 16 years. And we, at our height, we had 55 employees and we had 4 offices around the Bay Area. And then we had the recession of 2000, the .com bust. And that's where we closed a few offices, and we just ended up with San Francisco and Palo Alto at the time. And but it was still very efficient, and we made it through, and it's still going today. I ended up selling it, and it is still a very successful and well-known brand in the San Francisco Bay Area.
That's incredible. That's a company that started by you cleaning houses with your VW bug and driving all around San Francisco, just because you decided we're going to start a business and didn't know where, you didn't want to invest any capital, but you knew that you can clean. And then it became this big organization. That's incredible. What are some of the lessons that you learned as you were growing the business?
Well, I learned, I think before the .com bust, we kept meeting the client demand, meaning that what we just thought, okay, oh my gosh, there's so much demand for our services that we just kept hiring and hiring and hiring. If I were to do that again, I would have probably said no a little more often. Now that contradicts what I said earlier. The difference was that when clients asked us for additional services, like a chef, for example, we'd never placed a chef before. We said, sure. So we grew another division because what we did is we responded to the requests of our clients. What we ended up doing is we had so many employees that it was really hard. We grew so fast that it was very hard to manage all of the employees, all the different offices. And I ended up not loving the business anymore. I didn't love what I was doing because it was about managing people and not I like being in the business. So it depends on who the entrepreneur is. But if I'm not connected to the business in some way and talking to clients and customers, I lose my ability to have vision for the business. So I know that about myself. So I was doing things that I wasn't connected to the business. I wasn't placing nannies and talking to clients and doing all that. So I would say that we would have probably, if I were to do it again, I would have maybe said no to some new business, but not necessarily to growing the different verticals of the business.
Makes sense. Mm-hmm. So your division, well, let's just, before I ask the next question, let's just fast forward to now. So then so you sold the business, and then what did you do?
We moved to Portland, Oregon, And I had not had a job in a long time. But I was kind of lost for a couple of years. I mean, I know that is very common for people where they sell their business and then now what, right? And so I wasn't prepared for that. And I didn't know that I wasn't prepared for it. I thought, oh gosh, wouldn't it be great to just sell the business and to be free of all these responsibilities? Well, that didn't turn out to be what I really wanted or needed, but I didn't know it until it happened. So I ended up taking the first job I'd taken in many, many years. And it was actually the best thing that has ever, I mean, from a professional standpoint, it was incredible because I was able to join a human resource consulting firm and build their recruiting division. And that's what I do. I like to build things, and they gave me not free, but they gave me a lot of autonomy and to be able to do that. And it was just great. It was a great opportunity. It was allowed me to pivot from domestic placement to professional services. And after 6 years with them, it was a wonderful opportunity. I decided it was time to open Mulberry Talent Partners. And I ended up doing, that was 5 years ago, actually 5 years ago this month.
Oh, wow. Congratulations. That's amazing. Mm-hmm. You have grown it tremendously in the last 5 years. So what was your vision when you wanted to open Mulberry?
Well, I had really enjoyed the professional services space. And so I ended up I just wanted to do the work that I love for myself again. And so it was just me and one other person, and we just found a little tiny office space and just started connecting with people. And that's really how it started. And within a very short time, we started to make traction, and now we have 6 employees, and we're loving it. We also actually, one of the employees that I hired 25 years ago for Town and Country works for Mulberry now, and she's still in the San Francisco Bay Area, so she handles a lot of our California placements, particularly in the Bay Area.
Amazing. So comparing being an entrepreneur and going back to work, I know you got a lot of, you learned a lot by being an employee, but what is it that made you want to go back and be a business owner?
I think I wanted, I wanted the opportunity to have a brand that was something that was reflective of me. And one of the things that I value is relationships, and I value customer service. And those two things together are really powerful. And I wanted to build a brand that exclusively was founded in those principles. And I wanted that. And I had a vision for a company and wanted to build it for myself. And, I just turned 65 on Sunday.
Well, belated happy birthday.
Well, someone
you probably do not look 65, but that's very brave of you to say it here on camera but you look so much younger.
Well, the reason why I say that is because I think a lot of people, I started a company when I was 60, right? And I want to share that because I think it's important for people to know that that you can do these things at any age. And so someone asked me recently, they said, are you early career, mid-career in like a survey, or early career, mid-career, or late career? And I checked mid-career. So I think that tells you a lot about my mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I do know this about myself, that working makes my life work. That it's not so much about the money. It's more about the connections. And I'm naturally curious about people, and I love to help people, and the opportunity to help people transition from one job to another job is tremendous, is a gift to be able to help people, and then to be able to provide resources for people so that they can thrive and have success in their own lives, and to give them, advice and to help counsel them and guide them. It makes a huge difference for people. It makes a huge difference for me to be able to provide that kind of support.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I've seen you in action, and that's definitely, you have that sense of purpose, right? The purpose of helping people and helping them. What you're doing, as you said, it's kind of like, it's so impactful on people's lives, because you place them in a place of work, and that's where they're going to spend 70-80% of their lives, right? Of the day. So it's definitely extremely important. You're a visionary. You're a true definition of a visionary. I mean, you go and you have those ideas. And even when you said, okay, you like to work in the business, you still work on the business. You always have the ideas and moving ahead. But I understand what you mean by liking to work in the business, because you want to have your hands on things so you can really feel the business and then see where to navigate it and where to take it and how to lead it. But then you also, this is the System Simplified podcast, right? And we have the systems, we have the processes. From your viewpoint as a true visionary, why are systems important?
Well, to back up, we had processes, but they weren't really formulated. There wasn't a foundation of processes. That was sort of, you grow a business organically, and it just starts to grow. And so when I met you, you had shared what you do, and I didn't quite connect what you do and what we needed. So you came in and helped us with that foundation and with those processes. And afterwards, I still didn't connect it. I was like, okay, that's for other people to do. I'm still going to sit here in my sort of like my they call it a lab, Lauren's lab, they call, where I sit in my office and sort of do my thing. And so that's for everybody else out there that get it, whatever. But within the last couple of years, though, the foundation of those processes has made a huge difference in our efficiencies and how we have people and set our employees up for success, including our processes that reach our clients as well.
Right. So it's kind of like the foundation, but you still have the ability to create in Lauren's lab because you have the foundation for it. So that's so true. You have the actual milestone, or the way, basically the road on how to get from point A to point B in the most efficient way while you're still creating into the future, right?
Yeah. And, I have never worked for a large company. Like I've always worked for small. The consulting firm was 10 people. Town and Country started with me and my vacuum cleaner. And Mulberry the same way, was me and one other employee and so I just don't I just didn't really have the experience. My husband was at Intel. He's been at Amazon. He's been in large organizations which have systems and processes and that at that level, but I didn't have experience with companies of that size. So, but everybody that worked for me wanted that. Laura was my first employee who and met and was just really, it was impactful to bring you on board and to help create what we ended up creating, which makes it and also it sets up your employees for success. We find that so many of our candidates say, well, gosh, I'm in this job and there's no processes and it's just crazy. And it takes us 10 times longer to do something because there's so many steps involved. And it all kind of made sense. I go, oh, now I know what you guys are talking about.
It's so funny, Lauren. That's awesome. So, you shared a lot of tips and things that you were really, that made you so successful. Anything else before we end off this podcast? Anything else that you want to share with the listeners? Let's say we have entrepreneurs that are listening to us right now, or and people that want to be entrepreneurs. They want to start a business. They want to grow the business. What would be your advice to somebody like that?
My advice is you can't do this alone. Meaning that a lot of people have ideas in their head, but they may not communicate them. And they might think that's for other people. That's not for me. Or, it's scary. And it's important to have people that you can talk to, that you can share your ideas. And it's not just all internal. And find ways in which to have the courage to reach out to people that you may not know, to connect with them, to try to get the kind of advice that would be helpful to you. One thing for me is that I do not think long and hard about. I don't write a business plan. I don't have things all lined up and think that how I'm going to do this, and and that's the way I did it. And I'm not saying that's the right way. It's my way. We had a lot of friends when I was in California that went to, business school, and they all would say to me, well, how did you do that? How did you start a business? And I'd say, well, you just start it. And they go, well, you can't. You have to write a business plan. You have to do all these things before you. And those folks are still working for someone else, which is fine. I mean, it's not, look, entrepreneurship is not for everyone. But the point is that for me, it wasn't about the business plan. It was about the spirit and the energy behind the idea. And, for me, I did what I knew, and I started somewhere. Now, and the other thing too, is you want to start somewhere. And where you start is not necessarily where you're going to end up, but that's the point.
Right. And I think really from knowing you, it's like what you describe, it's basically you act very fast. You make decisions fast. You don't sit and think about things, and it's the spirit, it's the purpose, it's loving people and wanting to help people. You keep moving forward doing that, right? I mean, it's kind of like, it's like this thing that motivates you to just move forward and keep helping more people and things just come into place. And really, you also shared with me, and I know that about you, is that you are very good at surrounding yourself with good people and surrounding yourself with people, with trusted advisors that can help you and guide you, because you're not one that just grabs things and micromanages and does everything. You're very good at delegating. And I think that is also a lesson that would be good to share, because I've seen you in action. And that is why you can expand the businesses and still have a life and still have two beautiful, wonderful daughters that you can be a mom to. I mean, they're, and it just, you don't hold onto things thinking that you are the only one who can do it. You're very good at sharing and just delegating.
Well, yeah. And thank you so much for that. And it's true. I have the partners that we've surrounded ourselves with are wonderful to us, and they make a difference, and leave that expertise to the experts. And that makes a big difference. And I also creating a great workplace for people. And that is very, very important to us. And we have a very, we have a very collaborative work environment. And
for sure,
very happy employees.
That's right. And so if our listeners would like to visit your website, which I highly recommend they do, it's a beautiful, beautiful website that really embodies who you are and the company and what you do, where should they go to?
www.mulberrytalent.com, I believe. I think that's what it is. I'm sure it is. Yeah, www.mulberrytalent.com. Yep.
Yeah. So definitely visit that mulberrytalent.com. And it's a beautiful website and really explains what you do. And you look at the website, you see Lauren and everything she was talking about in terms of creating that workspace and the great culture and the great customer service and the experience. It's the experience. That's what it is. You really treat people and your clients and your employees as if though they're coming to your home to this incredible party and you're this incredible hostess that make them feel so welcome. So that's definitely. And one more question, like why the name Mulberry? How did that come about?
Well, I've always been attracted to excellence, and I loved the brand Mulberry. It's a leather goods company in the UK, and I love the brand. And there's such a beautiful artisan products, leather goods products, and I thought I love the brand. I love the name Mulberry.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Well, Lauren, thank you so much for being a guest on this podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Adi. This was such a pleasure to talk with you. And thank you for including me in your lovely podcast.
You're very welcome.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks for listening to the System Simplified podcast. We'll see you again next time, and be sure to click subscribe to get future episodes.